The Access to Capital educational series, The Fundamentals of Startup Financing, is made possible by the generous financial support of the Truist Foundation. Access to Capital is an educational program of Verge and its affiliates, RAMP, the Regional Accelerator, Roanoke-Blacksburg Technology Council, and its partners, the Launch Place, the Appalachian Council for Innovation, and Blue Ridge PBS.
Hi, Amy. Welcome to our show today. We're so glad to have you here to share the story of Qualtrics and how it went from a small company to acquisition. There's a lot to share, and we're so excited.
Thank you, Lisa. I'm really excited to be here today and get to share some of our Qualtrics journey with you. I thought, for starters, it'd be great just to tell you a little bit about what Qualtrics is. Qualtrics is compliance management software. For those who aren't familiar, that's really focused on helping organizations that, based on the really important work they do in the world, they're under a lot of compliance pressure. So our technology really helped them to streamline processes, manage key documentation, and be audit ready at any time. So it was wonderful to see Qualtrics helping amazing organizations around the world, from the likes of the Secret Service, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, and NYPD, all kinds of fantastic organizations. But I think what was really cool is to think all that started with it just being an internal tool. So Qualtrics was actually developed by the parent company at the time to help them become ISO 9001 compliant. So it all got started that way as an internal tool. Auditors came in and said, wow, you should really think about selling this. And that's really how the product was born. So for many years, though, it really operated mostly as an internal tool, even though Qualtrics had some customers. And I was excited to get the chance to come in and begin helping the company really just give it some love and focus and investment to help it grow. And ultimately, that led to us being acquired by IdeaGen.
Fantastic. And where is Qualtrics? Where did it start? What company? And where is it based out of?
So Qualtrics today is now part of IdeaGen, which is a UK-based global organization, and Qualtrics and the team are part of that global solution offering. We started actually in Christiansburg, Virginia, and then spent a large amount of our time based in downtown Blacksburg.
Fantastic.
And so now
Fantastic.
Team members all around the world.
Fantastic. So we know a little bit about Qualtrics and how it started. Can we fast forward over the company's life and tell us some of what the company looked like by the time you were considering this kind of exit?
Sure. I think it'd be important to share really a key milestone for Qualtrics on the growth journey. In 2017, we decided to take on $3 million of investment. And that funding at that point was really critical. We felt like we were doing well, we were growing, but we needed an injection. And the purpose of that funding was to help us take the technology to a true software as a service subscription model, get all of our customers to subscription. So we did that. We had actually at that point split the company completely from the parent. So Qualtrics was a standalone. I'd bought in as a part owner. That's how much I believed in what we were doing and building. And so from the investment, we were very successful in getting our technology and our customer base to subscription. And I would say, looking back now, as we were approaching that acquisition timeframe, I saw a team that was very mature. You know, we had a talented group. We brought in more talent with investment funding, leaders that could really understand what it meant to focus on the right growth initiatives, put the right measurements in place, and get a team excited and engaged about what we were doing. We had a strong purpose and core values, and you could just look around and say, wow, we're humming, our folks are empowered and engaged, and we were poised for kind of the next stage of growth.
Yeah. So you said a couple of things that I find really interesting, that over the course of this series, we've talked to a lot of different people around access to capital, how much capital you might ask for in a certain situation, and what you do with it. So I'm curious, that number, $3 million, can you say a little bit about what it took to decide on that amount and what things you did with it? It sounds like you hired some people to bring some talent to the table. Can you say a little bit about that?
Sure. Well, first I'll say you never want to take money unless you really need it. And so I think we spent a lot of time, my leadership, our other owners, Marty Muscatello and Tim Lawson, and dug into what would we do with additional funding. And I felt pretty strongly that we were at a juncture where to really make a move to SaaS, it can be a strain on your cash flow to do that. And as you mentioned, talent was a big piece. We knew we needed some additional resources and help as we were in the scaling up phase. The number really, we bounced around on how much, and we did take it in 3 tranches. So we didn't take $3 million all at once.
Okay.
And for us, that was best. I mean, we really needed, we wanted to take the first $1 million and ensure we could appropriately use those funds and attract the right talent and make the right moves with our technology. So what we did then ultimately is we did bring in more engineering help. We were able to move our product to a full multi-tenant architecture, which is critical for true SaaS. And just again, that cash flow of investing and changing all of our contracts over to a yearly subscription when they did not begin that way. So.
Yeah, it sounds like that took a lot of resources to make that kind of shift with your customers, and you have to do that in a strategic manner, I'm sure, to make sure that you don't lose people, but you also gain some more. What kinds of things did Qualtrics have to do to attract a company like IdeaGen to be interested in this kind of acquisition?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. We never, we weren't really at a stage where we were thinking about acquisition. We were definitely at a stage where we were looking at what are other growth options, including maybe taking on some additional funding. And that's when we were approached by one of our competitors, a strategic buyer. And I thought it was really important that we take the time to see what options were out there for us, because that started to get serious and go down a path. And I really wanted us to be able to make the best educated decision if we were going to pursue a path of an acquisition. So we hired an investment banker, and I will say, I feel like that was one of the very best things we did. We used a group called Falcon. I know there are many great investment banking groups, but to me, they're there to hold your hand. They helped us get our information into a format. We had a really great briefing about our company and what we were doing and our growth plans. And then coupled with the research we had done, they did in-depth research on who else could be a possible interested party for Qualtrics. And they did all of that legwork, reached out to many organizations, and ultimately we boiled it down to we had 3 very interested parties. And one of those being IdeaGen, and they clearly rose to the top through the process.
So an acquisition, there are benefits probably and pros and cons to that. Can you tell us a little bit about what those look like for any company?
Sure. For me, I have to kind of base it on my experience with Qualtrics, but I have to believe that most business owners are wanting to see a continuation beyond themselves. I think you've put so much of your life into something, and you really want to see it continue. So at Qualtrics, I was very excited to know we were finding another organization that shared the same purpose. They were helping similar mission-critical organizations, and they truly valued what we were doing and how we were doing it. And to me, it was exciting to know this would enable Qualtrics to continue to be competitive. We were always in a race with our competition. I would say that, again, one of those key benefits when you're looking at acquisition is you're typically talking to a larger company. Yeah. They've got many more resources to offer, and we were really excited about the R&D capability and ultimately the enhanced offering that our customers would experience. And I think also for our team, when you're a small business, career progression's challenging sometimes. And so knowing this was a continuation for the team as well, and they would be and have been opened up to incredible roles all around the world.
Yeah.
Folks that were based here in our region are getting to work on global teams today, which is exciting.
Yeah. Having gone through this process with Qualtrics and I'm sure learning some things, if not a lot of things. What were some key takeaways for you as a leader that you would share with anybody that's looking at going through this process? You mentioned hiring a firm to help and some advisors and experts that could walk you through that process. That sounds like really sound advice that people shouldn't skip over. What other kinds of things would you say are good takeaways that we should hear?
Right. Well, you hit it. I mean, investment banker, from my perspective, was crucial, having someone that could hold your hand through a really important process. I would say as an owner thinking about a sale, it's important with your other ownership to be on the same page as to what's most important to you, what are the requirements that a buyer needs to meet, and to be in agreement so that you will walk away if those critical items aren't there. And it can't be a list of 100. We got it down to 3, and I think that was good, candid discussion we had before we went down this path.
Did you have any processes or advisors or facilitators to help the group of owners get to that point, that list of 3?
Well, I was fortunate in that my ownership, and then once we took on investment, we had a board, and my board consisted of individuals that have been through several different experiences and processes. So, they were really able to kind of lead us through it. But at the end of the day, I think every situation is unique, and we certainly had some good, healthy debate to get it down to 3 core areas.
What served you best during this time of acquisition, before acquisition, the preparation, even afterwards? What kind of resources served you best? Are there any that would be, even just publicly available to our group of entrepreneurs in the region that you would recommend? Books, mentors, coaches, those kinds of things.
Yeah. I thought about that. I mean, there are certainly a lot of books and podcasts and great resources out there. I did feel like for me, really spending time with people who've been through a process before was probably the most valuable thing I could do. I think that, again, consisted of people on my board, but also it was important for me to be talking with people that didn't have the same ties to our organization. My CEO roundtable, I encourage owners, if you're not a part of some sort of group like that, do it. Our Verge Technology Council here has a wonderful roundtable where you're just with other peers that are going through similar experiences. It's just a huge help. And then I would say our investment banker offered quite a few resources. So even if you're just thinking about it, there's not a commitment there. Talk to someone in that space, and they can give you some really good insights of things to be thinking about before you go down this road.
Yeah. So we could talk for a long time about Qualtrics and IdeaGen and how exciting it is to go from a small company and in rural Southwest Virginia to a global company. We're running out of time today, but could you share any last thoughts or advice for, again, entrepreneurs and looking at growing a company, and maybe they've got their sights set on becoming a multinational corporation or working with a multinational corporation?
Sure. I guess my final thoughts would be, one, you don't get to this place on your own, and I had an extremely talented group of people around me, the Qualtrics team that we focused on. I mean, I really do believe you don't work for an exit, you work to fulfill a purpose, and we found people who cared about what we were doing, and that made all the difference. And then I would just say to an owner considering this that, in my opinion, it's the most important decision you'll ever make, is the sale of your company for your business. So make sure you really give it the proper time and space, and don't rush yourself.
Yeah. Good advice, good advice. Well, we appreciate you being with us today, and we look forward to learning more. We're glad to have you involved with Verge as our incoming chair, co-chair on the board of directors. So thank you for sharing your time and talent with the region.
Thank you very much, Lisa. Happy to be here.